welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hi, my name is Evelyn Hershkowitz, Reader Services Librarian at the Syosset Library, and we're here today at the Turn the Page podcast with author Marshall Fine. And Marshall is a Minneapolis native. His career as an award-winning journalist, critic, and filmmaker has spanned 50 years. Before his best-selling 2024 fiction debut, The Autumn of Ruth Winters, Fine wrote biographies of filmmakers John Cassavetes and Sam Peckinpah. He directed documentaries about film critic Rex Reed and comedian Robert Klein. He conducted the Playboy interview with Howard Stern and chaired the New York Film Critics Circle 4 times. The author currently lives in Ossining, New York. So let's welcome Marshall Fine.
Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you? So
Pretty
we're here
good.
to,
Can't complain.
that's great. We're here to talk about your new book, Hemlock Lane, which comes out on November 25th. I loved it. It was a great story, so much to talk about. I think it'll make a great book club pick. Discussion will be great, questions and everything. I think it'll be a fabulous book. So
Well, thank you.
tell us about the book.
What would you like to know? Where would you like me to start?
Just what the book's about. I don't want to give anything away, so I like the authors to give their talk.
Okay. Uh, the book is a family drama set in 1967 in suburban New York, set over the course of 4 days, with each day told from the perspective of a different character. And it's about a family that essentially tiptoes around a volatile matriarch and the daughter who is about to make her break from the family over the course of this weekend. It's about the secrets that families keep from each other and from themselves, I think.
Right.
And it's my goal was to, with each day, to reveal things that force the reader to reconsider what they thought they already knew about the story.
Yeah, it's quite a dysfunctional family.
Well, yes, it is, and what was it that Fitzgerald said that happy families are all the same, and unhappy families are unhappy in different ways.
Yeah, well, this one was quite dysfunctional. Just out of curiosity, is it autobiographical at all?
It's not autobiographical, but I would tell you that the characters are based on members of my family from another generation. My grandparents and an aunt of mine. Basically, it was inspired by an old family story that I remember from when I was about 10 years old. I grew up in Minneapolis, and this aunt of mine was a buyer for a clothing buyer, women's wear for a big department store, and got a better job in Cincinnati and moved away. And this was a big cause of consternation to my grandparents. That's all I remember about it. But that was sort of the nugget from which the story sprang. And I guess I found it made it easier to imagine these characters if I imagined them as people that I knew.
Mhm. You know what? I mean, it takes place in the 60s. It's people are moving all over the place now. I don't think this would happen now. I mean, a
Oh
mother,
no. Well, I mean,
yeah.
and it's also, I mean, it's set in the 60s. So at this point, I talk about the daughter's fascination with the book, with Betty Friedan's book, The
Mhm.
Feminine Mystique, which had only been out for a couple of years and had not even cracked the mainstream in any
Right.
way. So yeah, people forget just how staid things were in the mid 60s. You hear the 60s and you think of hippies and Woodstock and all
Right.
of that other stuff. But there was that took some time to blossom and sort of enter the mainstream, not till the later 60s. And
Right.
so that was why there was considered a generation gap in the mid 60s, and that there was this clash between generations at that
Right.
point.
Because now a mother would be so proud of her child for getting such an amazing position.
Exactly.
And
So,
with
and yet at the same time, I don't think that any particular decade has a claim on emotionally withholding parents. I think that you'll find those in at any point in time, and that's
true,
that's kind of what this is about, I think.
true. Especially now with air travel, you could get on a plane and they lived in New York, Tarrytown, right? They lived in New
Right.
York. to get
Hmm.
on a plane from Tarrytown to Chicago takes no time at all.
Oh
So,
no, absolutely. I have a new granddaughter in Chicago, and we're there
oh,
every month. So
congratulations. That's
thank you.
great. Now, I have a personal question. I went to school in Oswego, and you made reference to Oswego twice in the book.
It was I apologize, but I've always sort of I've been snobbish and think of Oswego as a punchline. So
Was
it
that
was
why? No. It's funny
it
because
was
I went there and the director of our library went there also.
hmm
So,
So it's to me it was meant to sort of symbolize rural, not rural, but sort of small town New York, I guess, by
yeah, because
comparison to
his his cousin went to school there,
yeah,
and then when she was in Syracuse with Clara, they took a trip up there to be on Lake Ontario.
right,
So I was
right.
like, wow, what does he know? Have you been there?
I spent a couple of years of my career working for a newspaper in Rochester.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with the upper tier, the
So right
northern
down
tier, and the
104.
Finger Lakes. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I just wondered if you had spent any time in Oswego because you made reference to that twice.
I've
So,
driven through it. I've driven through Syracuse.
okay. Yeah. Well, she went to school in Syracuse, so
Right.
my
I
niece
actually
went
took
there
I
too.
took my son up there to look at Syracuse for college at one point.
Oh,
So
okay. So you've been all over that area. So,
I have.
well, did you see how pretty it is on the lake in
Oh,
Oswego?
it's a beautiful drive. I mean, this particularly this time of year,
Mhm.
it's an amazing part of the country.
Right. And then when you get into the snow season, it's not as fun.
No, I spent several winters in Rochester, and I'm very familiar with the phrase lake effect
Right.
snow.
All the squalls and the lake
Yeah.
effect. Oh, yeah. We used to walk through those all the time. Absolutely. So this was not your first career,
What, writing novels?
writing novels. Yes.
Uh, as I've thought about it since this all started, I realized I've always been a writer.
Okay.
Started writing as a young teenager for my junior high school newspaper, and sort of funneled my energies into journalism because it was a way to see my writing in print quickly, see my name in print quickly. But even over the course of 50 years as a newspaper reporter and film critic, I was always writing stuff on the side. I have a hard drive full of things that nobody's been interested in up until now. But this was so when I retired in 2021, and you know was not going to stop writing, just was stop writing for hire, and but had the had the inspiration for The Autumn of Ruth Winters, and started and found that I take great satisfaction writing fiction, and love devoting my time to that. I think that the difference now is I don't have anything else pulling at my time. I can devote all of my time to writing and rewriting, and so it's not grabbing an hour here or an hour there as it used to be.
Okay. So how long does it take you to write a novel?
Both of my first two novels, I would say, took me roughly between 8 and 10 weeks to do the first draft. But then, my motto is all writing is rewriting.
Okay.
And that's where really the satisfaction comes in, is reshaping it and looking at it. I have a couple of people that I have read things early on to sort of tell me what it is I'm doing and what I'm not doing, so that I can go at it again. But I really enjoy the rewriting process. So, that can take, up to a couple more months to get into a shape where I'm ready to show it to my agent, who will then give me notes and triggers another round of rewriting.
Do you enjoy the rewriting part?
Very much. I read an interview with Martin Scorsese
Hmm.
one time where he talked about the fact that if they didn't set release dates for his movies, he would never stop editing them.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
understand that completely.
Did you have a deadline on this book?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's more just, when do I think it's done? And reaching a point where I think, okay, this is ready to show to someone, but it's really all up to me. I mean, at the moment, I'm working on a nonfiction book. I'm helping a friend write his memoir, and I do have a deadline on that. But again, it's something that's self-imposed. So,
Mhm. Have you been a ghostwriter?
no, this is the first time, and I'm
Oh,
only doing
okay.
it because this is a friend of mine.
Okay. I'm very fascinated by ghostwriters.
It's been more work than it's been more writing than I expected it to be.
Uh-huh.
I thought, as I imagined the job of ghostwriter. I mean, I've written biographies, and that's a lot of work. That's a lot of research and synthesizing material. And I thought, geez, it would be so easy to ghostwrite a book. All you got to do is do the interviews, transcribe them, and cut and paste them into the order that it goes. But there's a big difference I've found between conversation and storytelling. And so that's where the writing has come in this project. I mean, it's been very enjoyable because my friend has great stories to tell,
Mhm.
but it still was more work than I expected it to be.
Okay. Now going back to the book, Hemlock Lane, which character did you enjoy writing the most?
Clara.
Hmm.
Uh, Claire is the housekeeper. As I said, the book is told from the perspective of each of four central characters: the daughter, the father, the mother, and the housekeeper, with a little interstitial thing with her sister and her boyfriend. But
Right.
really, those are the four characters. And Clara is the housekeeper who has been in all of their lives for more than a quarter of a century, and all of this daughter's life. She's been there since before she was born. And her relationship with all of them is revealed slowly but surely in each of the segments. And yet when you get to her part, I was interested to find out just what it was that was going on with her. This is the second time I've said to my wife, I've got to finish writing this book so I find out what happens. Uh,
So you don't plan, you don't have a outline, you just go by the seat of your pants?
um, In terms of outline, I knew how it began and I knew how it ended, but I wasn't sure how it got there. I think that was true with both of them. And in the course of writing them, they went places that I didn't expect them to go.
Hmm. I liked Clara a lot. She was a wonderful person.
Well, thank you. It was, yeah, someone said, "Who's the hero of your book?" I said, "Well, I think Nora, the daughter, is the protagonist of the
Hmm.
book, but I think Clara is the hero of the book
Yeah, no,
because
Clara.
Clara is the only character who sacrifices for the rest of them."
Yeah, no, Clara was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful character. And what do you think of as the novelist's most essential tool?
Two things. I would say memory and empathy.
Hmm.
Memory in terms of, I was writing about 1967. I was 17 in 1967 and feel like I remember it pretty well. I feel like as a writer, you need to uh, keep track of what's going on around you. As a journalist, that was my job, was to sort of chase the zeitgeist for 50 years. So you're always up to date on current events and what's going on in the news, as well as what's going on what you write about, because it all interacts. Art doesn't exist in a vacuum. Movies are made against the picture of the larger society. So I was always doing that. So to remember what periods, what times were like. And again, like at this point in the 60s, things weren't crazy like people remember when they hear the word the 60s. So I'd say so memory is part of it. And also remembering what it feels like to be that aged, what it feels like to be a teenager, hopelessly in love, what it feels like to lose something you really want. It's that kind of memory I think is really important for a writer. And the other thing is empathy, because as I figured out as I was writing this book, particularly the character of Lillian, nobody thinks they're a villain in their own life.
Hmm.
And the other thought I tried to keep in mind is uh, everyone carries a secret burden that we know nothing about. And so the challenge for me was to understand Lillian, and if not to redeem her, at least to make her behavior understandable to the reader.
I'm just looking behind you. I see posters on your wall. Who is Accidental Genius? What book is
That's
that?
my biography of John Cassavetes.
Oh, okay. Nice cover. Nice. Looks great.
Yeah, very evocative 1950s movie star pose, smoking a cigarette.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was it like to interview Howard Stern, your Playboy interview with him?
That was the most fun I've had as a journalist, I think, other than riding on Arnold Schwarzenegger's tank. Um, Howard Stern was someone who show I listened to. I really got his sense of humor. I understood what he was trying to do, and so to get the chance to sit and talk to him. I mean, Playboy interview, they demand that the subject give you 6 hours of their time. So you really get to dig deep. And one of the things that I've always enjoyed about being a journalist was that it gives you license to ask people nosy questions.
Hmm. Which
And
he
so
did, which he does beautifully.
exactly. I mean, that was his whole thing. And here I got to put him on the spot for 6 hours and ask. I mean, and as a fan, I really knew the show intimately. And so was able to really sort of drill down on some of the things that I had noticed about him and the way he approached it. It was, again, a lot of fun. And he's someone that I still email with occasionally.
Oh, that's nice. What year was that?
I want to say 1994.
Okay.
So 30 years ago.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was before he was on Sirius.
Correct. He didn't do
Yeah.
that until I think 2003.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's changed a lot.
He has. I think he's grown, and he was always a great interviewer, even
Fabulous
though he
interview.
wasn't he wasn't credited with that because
Right.
he was so outrageous.
Right.
But as he's also, he's been through therapy and he's talked about this stuff in his books. Uh, I think I mean, he's 71 now, so you can't stay a kid forever.
Yeah,
Can't stay a
exactly.
foul-mouthed kid forever.
No, but he is a fabulous interviewer.
He is.
And he really, really should be getting the credit of that, which he's great. I mean, I don't listen to him as much because when I'm in the car now, I listen to books. So, is your book going to be an audio book? Do they make
Yes.
it is?
And both of them have been, and that's an interesting process. I'm not someone who listens to audiobooks much. My wife is. I have a brother who is a long haul truck driver who used to
Oh,
listen to them all the time, who listened to the one for Autumn of Ruth Winters and said, "Wow, that was a really good reader." They sent me 3 or 4 samples of people, and it was very obvious to me each time who got the tone of what I was writing.
are there going to be four different narrators, one for each
No,
person?
just one,
One
just one.
person's doing all four of them.
Yeah, I had them read a section where all four the brunch scene where all 4 characters were in the scene so
Right.
that they could shift back and forth and got a sense of what they could do.
So there it will be out. It'll be out on November 25th, also the same day as the book
Correct.
comes out.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Yeah. Was not able to find the audiobook. Normally I like to listen and read, but I wasn't able to find an early edition of the audiobook, but I'll certainly take a listen once I do find it.
Okay.
And the other book also, The Autumn of Ruth Winters, is also out on audio.
It is. It
Mhm.
is.
Yeah, I haven't read that one, but I remember hearing from some of our patrons how much they enjoyed that book.
That's also very nice to
Yeah, so
hear.
we have it in our collection. So,
Well, no one is more surprised to have a book that's popular with women than me, except perhaps my wife.
mhm.
um, who, when I started Ruth Winters, I said, I think I'm writing a book about a 70-year-old woman. She said, of course, because you're such an expert on the female condition. Uh, so the fact that, uh, I mean, people have asked me, how do you do that? How do you get into the mind of a woman as a man? And it's like, human beings are human beings, I guess, and we all share the same kind of emotions, and so we all react to, whether it's being hurt or being loved. We react pretty much the same way, and it was a matter of creating a character and sort of getting inside that character and applying those principles.
Yeah, well, you've written quite a few female characters in this book, and you've done that quite well. I mean, I enjoyed it so much. I really did. I love dysfunctional families.
Well, thank you. I mean, my goal when I started Ruth Winters was to write a novel about a woman that didn't sound like it was written by a man.
Okay.
And the feedback I've gotten seems to be that I was successful to some degree.
Hmm.
So
Do you read all your reviews?
I do. But as a critic, have a pretty thick skin.
Hmm.
Just because as a critic, over the years, you find people don't always agree with you, and sometimes they don't agree with you in an angry way. And it was part of that job. And so I think when my biography of Sam Peckinpah came out, I was reading the reviews. I thought each time I read one, I thought, well, I've written this same review at some point. And so I guess I was able to take the criticism that I found valuable and ignore the stuff that I thought missed the point.
Hmm.
Was able to sort of sort those things out.
Very well done, I have to say. I really enjoyed it. But I went on Goodreads, and do you go on Goodreads and see what people are saying? Because there's already quite a few reviews there. And
Yes,
there's some really good ones, really nice reviews.
yeah, no, I am astonished that I have close to 10,000 reviews for The Autumn of Ruth Winters
Wow.
on Goodreads and on Amazon.
That's
So,
amazing.
um, my publisher is Lake Union Press,
Right.
which is an imprint of Amazon,
Hmm.
and so uh, I've become a big believer in the algorithm, put it that way, that they are able to find the audience for the book and push it to them.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, no, it's the only problem I have with Lake Union is we can't get it on Libby because
yeah,
Amazon doesn't sell to Overdrive and Libby. And a lot of our people like the digital books.
sure.
So but other than that, they're doing a wonderful job publishing great books. So I'm very happy for you that it's working. What are you working on now? Besides you said you're doing the ghostwriting for nonfiction. Are
Yeah,
you
no,
doing another fiction?
I finished another novel.
Oh, wow.
That's a change of pace from this one. This was a change different from my first one.
Hmm.
The new one is a romantic comedy,
Oh,
sort of
that's my favorite.
a modern retelling of a fairy tale set in a show business milieu.
Very nice. That sounds great.
So
Okay.
I don't want to say much more. Say again.
Do you read romantic comedies?
I watch mo romantic comedy movies.
Okay.
I really don't read much contemporary fiction because particularly since I started writing fiction, because I find that I'm so caught up in the fictional worlds that I'm living in when I'm writing that I don't want to go into someone else's. So when I do, I'll basically read stuff that I wouldn't write. I love reading crime fiction, Dennis Lehane, Michael Connelly. I love Elmore Leonard.
Hmm.
Um, Always thought that I would write that sort of thing, but you need what I think of as the puzzle brain.
Right.
Uh, I don't do crossword puzzles. I don't do jigsaw puzzles. I can't, I like reading that stuff because I can't figure out who did it.
Okay.
So I can't, I couldn't quite imagine how I would write something like that. So that's what I read in my spare time, or else show business biographies and memoirs, just because it's an old addiction.
Hmm. That's great. Yeah, no, I like to read those type of books also, but rom-coms are definitely seem to since the pandemic. They're just, they always have a happy ending.
Well,
So,
yeah, I mean, I struggled with my first novel, whether or not to have a happy ending. And as a critic, I never liked happy endings because I never felt that they reflected reality.
hmm.
But I figured out that audiences love happy endings. Audiences want happy endings, and
Hmm.
so that sort of pushed me in the direction I went.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, no, I very happy to read this book. I was very pleased with it. I like the cover too, the colors and everything. It's beautiful.
Yeah, until I saw the cover, I didn't know what the hemlock plant actually looked like.
Hmm. Oh, okay. Well, Hemlock Lane is their address. That's where they live.
The street. Well, and it's funny because for the longest time, as I wrote this book, I was writing it under the title Clara's Girl.
Oh, okay.
And after I'd finished it, as we were editing it and getting it ready, my editor said, think about a different title. We need something that will pull people in a little bit more than Clara's Girl. And
Hmm.
I'm really hopeless with that. If I find a title, I mean, I felt very fortunate to find the title, The Autumn of Ruth Winters. But this one, I was just stuck. And then one of my editors, reached into the book and plucked out the name Hemlock Lane from the, one mention that there is in the book. But it's
Hmm.
very evocative of sort of the toxic atmosphere in the household.
Right, right. Yeah, I think Clara's Girl would have given it a different connotation when you looked at the book. I don't think you
Hmm.
would have, I think Hemlock Lane fits better than Clara's
Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah.
Like you'd
So,
think like Clara Barton or something like that, and
yeah, exactly.
and nothing to do with it. Did you have to do a lot of research about the 60s or you just remembered so much?
Not about the 60s, about the 30s. And
Hmm.
even then, it's funny. the copy editing process. I, as a journalist, I pride myself on fact checking, and yet as I was going through the manuscript after the copy editor was done with it, I had made two mistakes. One, I was dazzled that she caught. One, I just felt stupid. The one I felt stupid was the only battle in World War One whose name I remember that just comes to mind that I think of as being evocative of that war is the Battle of the Somme. And so at one point I had the character of Saul. I was talking about his background and the fact that his brother had died in World War One, and said at the Battle of the Somme. And I got a note from my copy editor saying, was he in the Canadian Army because the Battle of the Somme was 1916 and the United States did not get into the war until
Wow,
1917.
that was a great
So,
catch.
so yes, so there was a bit of research, more research I should have done.
I
I was
wouldn't
being
have, that would
lazy.
have gone right over my head. So,
Well, this one was even better. I mentioned there's a scene set at a Passover Seder in
okay.
1934, and I made reference to it being a warm April night. And my copy editor came back and said, Passover started on March 30th in 1934.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's how granular they get with that stuff.
That's great. You know what? There have been books I've read where I have found errors, and it really changes your whole way of reading the book.
Well, yeah, I mean, I try to be as factual as possible, and yet I have one of the entire setups of the book is that someone has sold the property that they had their business on so that they could build Shea Stadium.
Hmm.
And that's completely made out of whole cloth. I mean,
Oh,
I
really?
really
Okay.
don't know what was at Willets Point before they built Shea Stadium,
Okay.
but I don't imagine there are many people who are alive who do.
Right. I bet
Uh,
my father would know. But unfortunately, he's not alive. So,
so that was the kind of thing where I thought, well, this is something I can make up, and it'll seem plausible if not factual.
right. Right. Yeah. Well, Saul was a big Met fan.
Yes, because he got free tickets because he sold his property. That was
Right. Are you a
yeah.
Met fan too?
No, if anything, I'm a Yankee. Well, to be honest, as a Minnesota native. When I moved to New York, I thought, all right, two teams, I'll support both teams. But I pretty much gravitated to the Yankees over the
Okay.
years. I don't really pay that much attention to sports in general, but if I had to pick one, it would be the Yankees.
Okay. So you could have put them in the Bronx.
I could
The
have, but
commute would have been much better.
and certainly the commute. Yeah, you're right. So
Yeah. I mean, people reading it out of this area would have absolutely no idea,
right.
how bad the commute really is from Tarrytown to Queens.
It's true. It's true.
Especially, I mean, back in the 60s, it wasn't as bad. There were much less cars on the road. But now it's a bad commute.
Well, but in the 60s, I have to imagine it was bad because they were building the Cross Bronx Expressway.
Oh,
I have
okay.
to assume the chaos was
Yeah.
unending.
There must have been construction all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
We lived in Long Island and my father would commute from Brooklyn and he's like, once he got past the Meadowbrook, there was no traffic at all.
Hmm.
Whereas now, once you get there, it's bumper to bumper the whole way. So
Oh
things
yeah,
have
no,
definitely changed traffic wise.
yeah,
So yeah, Saul did not have a fun commute.
not at all.
Yeah,
So, but it kept him out of the house, so
right,
that made
exactly.
life easier.
Exactly. Yeah. Stayed away from Lillian as much as he could.
And so, what
That's
did
what
you
makes
think
the
of
book great. It's
What did you think of Lillian?
I'm glad she's not my mother. That's for sure. She was a very cold, cold person. She didn't know how to love. She didn't know how to take care of a family or a husband. She she wasn't no, didn't care for her at all. Is that what you tried to get across?
Again, it was the challenge was to get that across and yet make her particular pathology understandable
Hmm.
to the reader. So that, yeah, she's acting terribly, but I get why she acts this way.
Hmm. Well, luckily Clara came along
Yes.
and was able to take really good care of the girls. Or they would not have had a fun life at all.
Oh, no, exactly.
Yeah, so okay, so it was really nice meeting you, Marshall, and speaking with you.
This has been my pleasure. Thank you, Evelyn.
Yeah, and I will definitely be ordering this book. We will get it in the library. We'll be happy to put it in the hands of our readers. So I
Well,
thank
and
you.
if anybody's got a book club, I'm happy to zoom in and talk to you at
Oh,
any
that would
point.
be wonderful. Thank
I'm
you.
around.
I will let people know. Absolutely.
Okay,
Okay, so I'm
great.
going to close this chapter of Turn the Page.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.